just welcome to everyone. I know you're all Cleveland Srixon customers, so great to be part of the family this year. It's been 2010 was pretty amazing for me, and 2011 was always going to be pretty tough to live up to that. But I've had some equipment changes and got a great golf ball in the bag this year. And to be honest with you, the game's been a lot better than perhaps my results have shown. I've been playing lovely the last couple of months, and definitely looking forward to a big summer and a big rest of the year. And I'll see if I can show you a few things of what I'm working on today, a few hints and tips. I'll just kind of go through my regular warm-up. I use Cleveland wedges, obviously. As my 58, I carry a 58, 51, yeah, 51 and a 48. In the CG16, I use 588s. And my pitching wedge is that CG16, which is a pretty great pitching wedge, actually. So I'm just going to flip a few and just kind of go through my normal warm-up routine, which starts off. Generally, I like to pop first. I like to sort of start short and kind of work out. That's my warm-up routine. Really get the feel stuff going early in the day. Get the eye in, get the feel, get the small muscles working before I kind of get the big muscles working. When I'm working on my distance control with my wedges, I really like to feel the different length of arm swings. I think one of the I know we're no handicap golfers today. We're all pretty good players here today, so I really like to control the distance by sort of different points of my body. I mean, a really comfortable shot for me is feeling sort of chest high to chest high with a 58-degree wedge. That's about a kind of 70-yard shot for me. You just have to take my word for it. It's 72. It's a shot I work very hard on. Really try and feel different positions. Maybe kind of stomach, chest, maybe top of the shoulder. And I mean, everyone's yardages are going to be different, but I feel it's a great way to control distance without changing the pace of your swing. So I think it's an area of my game I probably spend 30-40% of my time practicing in my distance control, my wedges. It's a hugely travel top of the shoulder. Coach Pete Cohen always says, the road to success is always under construction. So the golf swing is always been tinkered with. You're always trying to make it better and better and better. Even these guys who swing the golf club textbook. I don't have a textbook golf swing, as you can see. I mean, I certainly am always trying to make my golf swing better and better and better. So I like to have a little bit of a long-term process that I'm on. Maybe a part of my practice will be going to some of my drills, which are, I like to work very hard on kind of my right arm sack away, which is a big move I'm working on right now. I'm trying to stop my right shoulder dragging everything behind me. I have a tendency to drag, and that gets my left hand very strong. Really trying to work hard on setting this right shoulder a bit better. And from there, getting the club in a position where I can then use it. My bad moves are behind me, under, stuck, and that's going to cause all sorts of problems. So yeah, I think every golfer has a blueprint that when we're playing badly, we revert back to type, if you like, or revert back to bad habits. And I think knowing what your bad habits are, knowing where your bad shots come from, I think that's the key to playing well. So I know what my bad habits are generally when I start to play badly, and I have 2 or 3 little drills that I can go back to, whether it be on the golf course, maybe some little fields I try to give myself to self-correct on the course. But then when I have time for some technical work on the range, I have drills, little things that I use to really help me get my golf swing on track. So always tinkering with the swing a little bit. But when I go to the course, try to have really 2 really good simple swing thoughts. I'm not a guy who thinks I can play golf without swing thoughts. I really feel like I need a little trigger to get me away from the ball, maybe a little transition thought, and then really a nice strong thought through the ball. And probably 3 swing thoughts is about what I play with. I think the 21st century golfer doesn't shape the ball back like the guys used to in the 80s and 90s, when the golf balls, when the baladas were soft. I think if you handed a golfer in the mid-90s, if you threw him a Srixon Z-Star, he'd probably laugh at you, think, what the hell you want me to do with this thing? It's like a brick. But it's the way the game's changed. The golf ball's much firmer nowadays. The ball doesn't move around in the air the way it used to. And the art of shot shaping has kind of gone out of the game to a certain extent, but there are guys who still shape it around. And I like to think I move it around a little bit. And guys like Tiger and Sergio, and there's still lots of that around, but less so. I think that the balls are still good nowadays. Let's be honest, they just cut through wind, and a lot of guys will not change their ball flight a huge amount for the wind. To hit my knockdown, first thing I'll do is probably take half an inch off the grip right away. If I hit an 8-iron, probably flat out in these temperatures, probably 155 yards. Taking that half inch off the grip instantly makes this a 150 club for me. And that's really a rule of thumb I use for all my clubs. I really feel like top of the grip, it's full out, half inch down, I could probably take about 5 off. And if I go close to the steel, I could probably take close to 10 yards off. And that's a really great way of taking some yardage off without having to adjust too much in your golf swing. So for the knockdown, I'll go probably half inch down. Obviously the ball position feels like it knocks a little bit towards the back. And then I'm really going to feel my swing's quite 3/4. Really feel like I'm driving it with the big muscles, not too much hand speed or anything, and it really, that little bit of abbreviated follow through, and again, it's personal preference. Guys feel they hit punch shots different ways, but mine's a little bit of a grip down, knock it back in the stance a little bit, and really just keep your rhythm solid, a little 3/4. That ball will have a little bit more right to left spin on it, and it'll be much more penetrating into the wind. One of the keys at the start of the year when I was talking to Srixon and talking about maybe having a relationship with a company, I think the first thing I wanted to see was how this golf ball was in the wind. And as soon as I tested the ball, I'm using the Z-Star Diamond, which is I guess last year's ball. I know they have the XV, which is a replacement, and it's a great ball as well, but I like a slightly firmer ball, I suppose, than most guys do, and it's because I like to see that penetration and that holding its spin into the wind. And that was one of the keys really for me was when I tested the golf ball. I instantly loved the way it flew, and I knew at that second that the Srixon were going to be the right fit for me, because to me the golf ball is the key. It's the main thing that's improved. That's why the game's got so much better in the last 10 years. Everyone's so much longer, because this golf ball is so much better and faster and cuts through the wind. So the golf ball is a huge factor nowadays. When I saw these, they fitted my eye right away. I've always liked the muscle back. I've always liked not that full-on blade, but just that little bit of something, nice top line. And I love the aesthetics of the club right away. The irons were always going to be quite an easy transition. The wedges were key, of course. I used Cleveland wedges when I was in college, so I wasn't too worried about that transition. The 588 have been molded around that. When I was with Galloway the 3 years previous, Roger Cleveland was a guy designing their stuff. So I spent most of 2010 asking Roger to build me the 588 wedge in a Callaway head. So it was, as soon as I got hold of the 58 588, I was like, I'm back. Everyone has their little idiosyncrasies as to how they like to move the ball around. For me, with a fade, I like to obviously just aim a little left to target. I like to try and hang the face maybe 3-4 degrees open, and really feel like I work that club. I really like to feel this left hand feels low, and really get the club swinging left, and really try and, like I said, I like to feel that left hand, really dragging across the ball. Not dragging it with shaft lean, but just really more dragging it with rotation, So let's see if I can hit anything resembling a cutout there into that wind. when I'm working with my coach in the range and we spent, you know, whatever time we want to do on technique, you know, we like to do something we call the 9-shot drill, which really kind of gets us into playing mode. We basically have 9 shots. We have our low, our medium, and our high flights, and then we have our fade, our straight, and our draw. So we like to you know, mess about. You know, he'll call the shots, you know, low draw, you know, really work on getting that low draw type flight, you know, and then straight maybe to the high cut. You know, it really kind of gets you back into play mode, gets you away from technique. You know, and really move the ball around as much as you can. It gets your mind straight off technique, straight into play, gets you ready for the golf course. And you know, I remember coming off the practice round at Augusta a couple of years back. Oh, I just played terrible. I'm panicking. You know, I've got what do they call it? PMS, pre-major stress. You know, Wednesday afternoon on the range, and I come in. Pete, my coach, is there, and I'm like, I'm just playing terrible. So he gets me up there and he says, right, hit me the low cut, hit me the high draw, hit me the medium fade, hit me the straight one. Went through the 9 shots. I'd say I hit 8 out of 9 of them. What's your problem? You know, so I was just like, I had no answer to that. You know, it was like, sometimes, you know, you can just fall in love with technique and maybe what you're working on, and you forget how to play the game properly. And you know, I actually went on to strike the ball pretty well that week and had my best Masters finish, which was 17th or something. And just a great example of how when you get back into shaping mode and you forget about technique, that the game's actually never really that far away. Just going to hit a couple of my my latest addition to the bag here, my little Launcher 5 wood. I put it in at the Congressional there a couple of weeks ago. I had been carrying like a 2 hybrid. I just kind of went off it big time, and they built me this 19-degree FL Launcher 5 wood, and went straight in the bag. Great club. I mean, we on the tour, you know, they seem to love a 230, a 240 yard par 3. I hate them, but you know, they seem to love them in golf courses around the world. So having that 235 shot that kind of comes down pretty soft, it's just a hugely important weapon to have in the bag. You know, obviously attacking par 5s and 2, having something that's going to come in there, hit and kind of stop and give you a chance for eagle or whatever. It's a hugely important club in the bag. So this club's got a bit of a future. I think it might even be a little too strong. It's got a great flight on it though. You know, it's kind of goes up there and hopefully comes in soft. You know, with a 5 wood, I wouldn't say I'm quite sweeping it off the top. I like to feel it's a bit of both. It's a bit of a downward strike, but obviously you're not taking much in the way of turf. I mean, I think the bad habit for me is trying to help the ball into the air. Again, it comes back to this in behind it and tilting this way a little bit. So anytime that I can feel moving down towards the target and staying down and just trusting the loft on a club like this, I think it's an important swing thought for me. Alright, let me hit a few with me driver here. This is 895 310, which I think you'll all agree is a great looking head. Like I say, I've been working hard with the driver this year. You know, just conscious of not trying to change too much. You know, it's still early days, and I really I've been very close to getting the driver right. Just haven't really had a chance to put it in play just yet. It's got a real hot flight to it, which is going to be great for the next couple of weeks. You know, you want something that's going to be probably a little flatter than you normally use. You know, I generally carry a couple of drivers to tournaments, maybe one that has a little bit more launch and a bit more spin to hold it in the air. and one then that maybe has a little bit more chase on it, a bit like this driver. Aim this over this yellow flag here. Something that's going to hit and really get max roll. And that's a pretty hot looking flight there. I've always been a very good driver of the ball. Pretty straight, pretty accurate. Probably middle table to slightly on the long side of middle of the table when it comes to driving distance. And when I drive it well, I give myself a chance to get some short irons, some wedges in the hand, and those are probably my two main strengths: driving the ball and my distance control. Probably from 175 in is definitely my scoring areas.